Ah! Good morning, hello, welcome to the TriathlonDan YouTube channel. Welcome to another day of triathlon training, sort of. This isn't training, although this is very beneficial. You might recognise this face from Instagram, because he's everywhere, and a video earlier this year where I got well and truly spanked at a time trial by this gentleman. This is George Fox. George Fox is a cycling coach, bike fitter, all-round good guy. Did I miss anything there?
No, that's about it.
Okay, that's about it. So, long-time viewers will know that I've recently bought a new bike, and what I'm essentially coming to George today for is, please tell me it fits me, and then secondly, can I get comfy, aero, etc. on it? George might hit, thanks to social distancing, he can't hit me. I've pretty much been eyeballing my fit for the last couple of years. Instagram, looking at other people, trial and error, which I think I've had some success with, but I appreciate there's a lot of other things that I need to do, and actually having somebody looking at you from the outside in that knows what they're doing is only going to be beneficial for my fit. So I'll talk you through the process today. I might record some little snippets of different tips and things, but yeah, I'll talk you through it. And if you get bored of this halfway through, all George's links will be down below in the description. So his Instagram, his webpage, etc. Check him out. So George's favourite pastime, we've started from the back. So we quickly found out that obviously the seat post is a little bit low. I haven't changed this since buying it, and the gentleman who had it was a bit shorter than me. So we're doing what, George? Starting from the back.
That's it. We'll start from the back. So we get the saddle cleat position, knee angle, saddle height right first, saddle position, 4.5. So work from the bottom up and then forwards basically. So the principle behind that is if we can get the back end in the right place, then you should be more comfortable sitting on the bike, at which point we can start to mess around and play around with the front end in terms of aerodynamics. And then, yeah, we'll come back and revisit the back, ultimately make sure that everything's working together.
Yeah, and the method you use, you stuck some stickers on my leg, and then used some big pointy stick and measured distances
It's
and
called
things.
a gurniometer.
Okay.
And yeah, it's designed to measure angles, essentially.
Right, got it.
Okay, that's gained us quite a lot, so that's good. Jump off though, we're just going to push it a tiny bit more. So now we're within what's considered a normal knee angle range. We're pretty much in the middle of that. But we're just going to now do the performance part of it, essentially.
Correct if I'm wrong, so that angle there that's okay for comfort. But now
Exactly
you're
that.
looking at performance, so you're trying to what?
This is it. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to push the saddle height just 1 or 2 degrees higher than what would be considered normal. Simply so that when you get off the bike after you've done the leg, you will find it easier to stand up straight because the hamstring's been straighter for the whole bike leg, right? So you will actually find it easier to stand up straight, which obviously helps with the run ultimately. So it's something that on the bike, there's been quite a lot of research showing that actually having the higher saddle height can be a benefit in terms of power production anyway. So if you're finding it easier to put the power out and run quicker, that's never a bad thing, right?
Yeah, of course.
So it's just a combination together. And this is the thing with like these bike fits, a lot of the time we're actually just making people run faster because there's certain things you can do to the position overall, whether it's comfort, power or aerodynamics, that actually make it easy for you to run, which, yeah, triathlon's A to being the fastest possible time, isn't it? So A's to start the swim, B's the end of the run. There's no point in having just one super quick one because you're gonna get found out. Like you in terms of the percentage of the race, you spend more time on the bike, right? But in terms of the percentage of where you can lose the race, is the run. It is the run. Like you got 26 miles on your feet. The bike you can freewheel. There's no freewheeling when you're running. So ultimately, you've got to be able to get off this and run still. That's the most important part.
Spoiler alert, George is getting into triathlon. He's not declared which event he's making his debut at yet. He has took part in the unofficial Mallory Park, Chris Hine coaching duathlon.
Yeah, without the swim.
So, George has put on a 30-degree extension on the right-hand side and left a 40-degree on the left because you're only changing one thing at a time. Other than the armrest, you move the one-piece cockpit bar thing off and put on some of George's own aluminium high-sided armrests. The benefits are...
So there's a few different benefits. The first one is the support that you get from it. So the flat pad before, you'd have been rocking around all over the place and there's nothing to hold you in that position. This now, obviously you put your arm in there and it holds you here. That's the first one. The second one, you get onto a bumpy section of road. Again, there's no movement at all. Third one, in terms of you fatiguing over the course of a half or a full distance or even just a time trial, once your body starts to fatigue, we want the bike to do the work for you. So if this pad is physically holding your arm in that position, even when you fatigue in the upper body, which you will be after a swim anyway, you are just going to be much more relaxed and the bike holds you there. So that's always what we want. I say that we want the bike to do the work for you ultimately. Now the last one is the aerodynamic side of it, but we'll come back to that in a few minutes.
Yeah. Angle it feels like I'm just.
That's exactly what we want. Yeah. So what we want is simply the weight coming straight down your shoulder onto, which is why we want the elbow on the pad ultimately.
Yeah.
If the elbow is on the pad, the weight will come straight down the bone and straight onto the pad. Whereas if you have the elbow off the back of the pad, for example, what's going to happen is you're going to end up doing that, which obviously becomes uncomfortable here, but also all the weight's coming through triceps and lats, which that means that you hold in the position through muscle rather than through the bike, which is what we were saying before when the bike's delivered for you.
Yeah.
The key thing with this for you is to enable you, you've worked hard over the last few years to be able to drop that head down so you can actually hold that aerodynamic position looking forwards. But where the pole's lower forward is just actually limiting your visibility. Like it's simply, you can drop your head so far down and still be able to see forwards, but your hands are just in the way. Yeah. So ultimately what we're actually aiming for is to drop your head down to your hands, not bring your hands up to your head.
So in terms of gapping between the bars,
yeah.
Is there a rule as to how much there should be? Or?
There's no rule. It is an individual aerodynamic thing, and it's one of those things that in a wind tunnel, it is different person to person. The general rule of thumb for me, like what we normally aim for is almost a safe bet, is rolling the back of the thumbs together. So if you've got your hands kind of here, just roll them here. The main reason is it stops you from doing funky things with your hands. Yeah. I see it all the time. People like rotate their wrists out, or they're kind of putting their hands on top of it, and yeah, exactly. Unless you've tested it, you don't know what the answer is. So the safe bet is just go to the same pace each time, which means you're consistent. It's just roll your hands in a little bit, the back of your thumbs together. Yeah. That's perfect.
What do you think about height then on the front?
Honestly, if we were going to drop you, I'd want to be in a wind tunnel, and I'd want to say definitively it is X amount faster. Right. Because every time obviously you drop it, your wrist goes on the hip flexor angle and therefore losing power, which we generally don't want to do. Yeah. Again, now just quickly, now we've made this change at the front, how's the back feel? Sounds feels good? Yeah, perfect, okay. So yeah, the height though, if I'd want to be in a tunnel and say, look, yeah, actually dropping you is going to make a big difference. For you, the biggest difference is always going to be this head position. Yeah. And so if we can make it almost easier for you to hold the head position better, that's still going to be faster. That's the key thing. Yeah.
What about crank length? So we had a bit of a chat earlier because I normally ride 175s.
Yeah.
These are 172.5s, and I said to you, I'm going to get rid of these and get 175s, and you said, don't do it. Why is that?
So, yeah, there's a lot of kind of science behind this in terms of going shorter, and honestly, I genuinely believe within the next few years we're going to see bikes in medium and potentially large at some point coming with 170mm cranks. So I've ridden medium large giants for the last few years now, and they still come with 172.5. I do think as a general trend it is going shorter. The balancing act with that is going too short, because ultimately if you go to like 165 for example, which would be crazy for you at almost your size, it's gonna make you pedal faster, which unless you train it and are super efficient at high cadence, your heart rate's going to increase. Last thing we want in a triathlon especially is for your heart rate to increase just because you're pedaling faster. So it's not a case of saying, right, we need to pedal really slowly because it's just going to load the quads with lactate, but actually it's just find that right balancing act. And for a lot of people, like 170-ish is the right place to go. So you saying that you want to go back to 175, it was a case of maybe not, let's not rush away from the 172.5s. Okay, so the bike is pretty much done in terms of fit. How to sit on it, how to pedal on it, feel comfortable, but the key is, George, trying it, isn't it? Testing it. Exactly. Speak to him in a few weeks with any tweaks as needed. So we're going to look at, George wants to look at my helmet. So what do we do? Put it on. That's it. Stick it on, and then if you want to stick the visor on as well and jump on. The reason we want to look at it as it is at the minute before we change anything on this helmet is mostly because. Say how you said to me a minute ago. You said you've been wearing it wrong, Daniel. Yeah, you've been wearing it wrong, which most people do. To be fair, though, most people wear this helmet completely wrong, and it's not your fault. It's really just because of essentially how the helmet fits when you first take it out of the box. So. Big thing really, the camera will see this but you can't, is the gap still here. And also visibility. So I imagine at the minute you can already see the top edge of this helmet here, which basically means that it will potentially stop you from actually dropping your head down any further, which obviously is not ideal. So if you want to sit up for me and actually just, we'll take a photo of that one while you're there. Right in the way of the GoPro, sorry. So I found that I try and tilt it back, but I can't get it tight enough. Yeah, okay. It slips down. That's exactly what we're going to fix. So if you want to sit up and just pop the helmet off for me. Okay, so The helmets are great, like I said, but you just have to know how to wear them properly. We're going to take this piece of foam padding, and we're literally going to stick it, pull back the cradle, and we're going to stick it inside that front edge. Okay, plonk that back on your head for me. What I want you to do, before you tighten this back up, is if you look at me, grab the helmet and literally do that with it. That's it. That's where it needs to sit, and you'll find that it will actually sit there a lot easier now.
Yeah, it feels like it's way too
yeah,
high.
you feel like a right wally, like, because you'll be looking at me almost underneath the visor now. So like that, okay, now if you drop into position, how's visibility now?
Yeah, a lot better. I can't see the lip.
And I can't barely fit my hand in that gap.
Awesome.
It's
All
such
for a bit of foam.
That's it, magic foam. It's such a simple thing, but it makes such a big difference. Now this is where we started, okay. So it's not bad. It's really not bad at all. Your head is where it is because simply you need to be able to see over the top of your hands, which obviously is not ideal. Therefore, we have a gap here, which we also don't want, and visibility will be limited a little bit. Okay, we know that on this one the saddle was too low still as well, whereas now, you look like a time trialer. Yeah.
I don't look like I'm really like flat back, but
yeah, exactly
I see
right.
what you're saying about that shape.
So and this is the thing to remember from the front. Like, I'll show you the picture from the front, and if we had a green screen behind you, you'll go, yeah, we know there's a definite improvement. I mean, that there is massive, like just in terms of what's going on. However, if you look at the front of an aeroplane wing, you can't tell the shape, right? Now, obviously, that's trying to generate lift. We're not, but it's not the frontal profile that makes all the difference. It's the overall shape. The frontal profile we need to improve so that how the air kind of stays attached to you as you're going through the air. That's the important part. So actually, if we've got you in a really good position in terms of the overall shape, i.e. this, where you've got smooth airflow down your back, a lot of the time the flat back is not actually the quickest. It's just the shape you've got. So what we see is if we got you to do this test where you're just nice and relaxed here, I'd expect to see this shape of me on the bike. Right? I can flatten it off and I can come down like this, but it loads up the hamstrings instantly, and as soon as I do one pedal stroke, that's it, it's game over again. So it's about the overall shape. Now every picture I've seen of you on the bike, you've not got a complete flat back anyway. So this is what I would be expecting to see. But that, if we now look at where the helmet sits in line with your back, that's a big difference. But it's because you've been able to, if you look at where your head actually is, gap between your nose and your wrists, we've actually brought your hands down and brought your head down half that gap again. So actually the hands have now come down so that everything is a little bit more aero, but also your head's in a much better place.
So when George says that's faster, like he's not making it up, like you've spent a lot of time in a wind tunnel, so you've seen
exactly. Like, I've done loads of testing, like on myself, but also like testing products with different companies. But then the majority of my time in the tunnel has been with riders. So everything that we do is wind tunnel informed, basically. We have a big fan, but we don't have a tunnel here. So ultimately, we're using what we've done with riders in your body shape on bikes like these, parts like these, to basically make it so that anytime we are making a change, it's going to definitely be the best for you. Now, aerodynamics it's not a dark art, it's just science at the end of the day. And we can't guess it, we can't see it with our eyes. So we have to be informed by the decisions that we've made with other riders in the past to make the same decisions for you. And then it's the flip side of that is making it so that it's sport specific. Because ultimately, if you were just doing 10s, then yeah, we might look at dropping the front end a little bit, but you're not. You're going to do 112.
I thought about saying that to you, do I need different fits for different events? But I think because I'm going to be doing a bit of everything, I don't want to be changing the bike setup. I don't want to be I want to be training in the position I'm going to be riding in. When I was talking to Adam, what's his name, won the National 100 and National 12 last year.
Adam Wild.
Yes, on the start line of the 12 hour. I said to him, what have you done to prepare your bike position for the 12 hour? Nothing. I'd rather this for 10s or 12s. And
exactly. And this is the thing. So if I said to you, what's your main target for next year? It's not going to be a 10, it's not going to be a 25, it's probably not going to be a 50. You're going to tell me it's a triathlon. And so ultimately, the time trials are great and they fill the gaps in terms of the race weekends and stuff, but ultimately, they are still, or should be at least, aimed towards your triathlon, because that's your main target. So that is what we should be aiming for.
Until I beat you at National 25 next year.
Let's not get carried away.
So, bike fit number 2, not quite as time consuming as the first one, but if I'm going to take this seriously, if I'm going to train in the position I'm going to race in and really put, mind to matter and actually do it, the bike I train on needs to be set up exactly the same. Hey, George.
That's exactly it.
So, I brought the kicker bike with me today, and we've lugged it down from the car park. Thank you very much for the help. And George is basically making sure this is set up the same as the TT bike, so that when I'm training indoors, it's going to be the same as outdoors.
That's pretty much it.
Understand? Good. And I think I managed to sell George a kicker bike as well now, so I think he's sold. So yeah, so I've got some high-sided armrests on there, obviously some extensions. Started to change shifting on the shifters as per normal, but everything in terms of the saddle height, fore and aft and everything is the same as the TT bike, so good stuff, and systems go. Okay, so fits done and dusted. Very happy. George is going to give me some drills to do over the next few weeks because the most important thing is actually training in that position and getting used to it and so on. Are you happy with the outcome? I mean, you have to say you're happy because customers always right, aren't they?
More than happy. Yeah, it's always difficult, kind of starting from scratch a little bit because the body adapts to things like your old position, for example. So obviously we're starting from scratch, and I mean the bike as it came in today was essentially somebody else's position. Yeah. So we are starting from scratch. But it's also quite nice because it means that now you kind of going into the winter, you've got a new position to get used to, and you've now got 4 or 5 months to actually fully adapt to it before we start racing again.
Definitely. And this time of year, I think it's a good time of year to get fit.
It's perfect. If I could fit everybody in September, October, November, then I would, because it just gives you the longest amount of time before you start racing next year. Yeah. So anybody that thinks they're going to find it more difficult to adapt to a new position, now is when you need to be getting fitted, really. Yeah.
But if you do fancy fit any other time of the year, George does need a job year round, so feel free to shout. So if anybody is interested, as I said earlier, the link is in the description down below to George's Facebook, Instagram, etc. Reach out to him. Obviously COVID compliant, as you can see today. You're just doing 1 fit a day, so that you've got plenty of time to do it. So there's no time pressure. You spend as long with you as you need to get the relevant fit. And please don't get as fast as me. Cheers. All right, so thanks so much for watching. If you haven't already, click the subscribe button down below, and I'll see you tomorrow at 4 PM.